Hey guys, what's up? It's JT here with another video, and in this video, I'll be doing another life story. It's been a couple days since I did my last one, so I decided to do it. Sorry if my voice is pretty fucking hoarse, I just woke up, so without any further ado, let's go into it. So this is the first time that I took LSD or acid in school, so this was a pretty fucking crazy experience for me. I don't really recommend it for anyone at all. It was pretty fucked, I'm not gonna lie. It was a really bad experience, but I didn't get caught, surprisingly. But without any, let's just dive into this video, right? So this took place last year, and I remember it was right after spring break. I remember very clearly. It was right after spring break, and I had taken 2 tabs during spring break, and it was like an okay experience. Like, I didn't really trip too hard. It was just all right. I don't know if you guys know, but in my first time tripping, I tripped on 3, so I progressively went lower. I remember this was my 3rd time I took acid, and it was like less. So the first time I took it, I took 3. The second time I took it, I took 2, and then the third time, which was this time, I took 1. So I had an extra tab left over. I remember buying 3, but for some reason during spring break, I decided, you know what, I don't want to trip as hard as I did the first time, so I'll just take 2, right? So I took 2, and I wasn't too impressed with it. So I thought, I'm like, you know, I didn't really want spring break to end. I was sad that spring break was ending. So I thought, you know what, the best way to keep spring break alive is to do something crazy. So yeah, it's pretty fucked. But anyways, so I had that extra tab. So I was like, you know what, Monday morning, I'm just gonna take it, and when my dad drops me off, I'll just fucking go and see what the fuck happens, right? I figured I already had a tolerance to it too. That's what I figured, not from before, but I figured since I taken 2 just a couple days before that, maybe like 6 or so, almost a week before that, I would already have a tolerance, which arguably I did. Anyways, so I wake up first thing in the morning, and I hesitated at first, but you know, I was just like, you know what, that's it, let's do it. So fucking, I put it in there. At that point, I was kind of feeling regretful, and at the same time, I was really excited. I don't really know how I felt at that moment. It was pretty just kind of like, let's see what happens. But I know as soon as I got dropped off, I was very regretful at that point. When I got dropped off, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be a whole ordeal during school. And I immediately started texting my friends saying like, oh my god, I can't believe I did this. And just like, you know, just telling them like, this is not a good idea. This is not good, not good, not good. But anyways, so I continue on to my class. And this is where it really hits in, because now it's about 30 minutes. And I feel weird, as I did in my first story about taking acid. I get that weird feeling, just a weird presence almost, right? So I'm in biology. And at this point, I'm no longer feeling weird. What's happening is I'm actually tripping. So I'm in the middle of I'm just sitting down in my chair, and I'm looking at the words in biology, because she has them written out on the board, like biology class, whatever the fuck. So I'm looking at those words, and they just seem to be kind of floating around. And I was just like, what? This one tab is stronger than anything, you know? Because, you know, I have this own little thing that I believe, and it's like, whenever you get more nervous or you get more scared, the hallucinations seem to just kind of go rampant, you know what I mean? Whereas if you have a good trip, you notice that the hallucinations are pretty just mild. It doesn't matter how much you take, the hallucinations are pretty mild if you have like a nice trip. Whereas if you have a bad trip, the hallucinations can get unbearably real. Anyways, so I continue on, I keep seeing this, and my eyes are just huge. I can't even believe what I'm seeing. The biology thing's huge as fuck, and I'm just like, oh my god. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And then we had to hand out homework, and I was just looking at her as she was handing out homework, and I'm like, you know what, do not make eye contact, do not do it, just grab the sheet of paper with your left hand and look to the right. So I just did that, and she kind of gave me a weird look, I remember, but whatever, that was it. So that's it for biology class. I guess the most eventful thing happened in JRTC. So I had this little army class that I would take, and like pretty much it was like spinning rifles, doing exercises, just stuff like that, right? And I remember that was the worst thing too, because, you know, obviously I was in no position to be flipping rifles. You know, I couldn't even walk too well. You know, just because everything was just so like bright. I remember the sun when I walked outside, because my old high school was just like an outside high school. The sun was just so bright in my face. I remember looking at that, just like, what the fuck. And yeah, so we're spinning rifles, and I don't know how to I forgot how to hold the rifle, and I'd gone to military school, guys, and I remember, we used to do this all the time. I can't seem to remember what we used to do. I don't know why. And if anything, I had more experience than any one of these chumps in spinning rifles, but I couldn't remember how to do it. So That was pretty fucked. I had the guy come up to me and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I don't know if he said like, "Are you okay?" Like, "Are you on drugs?" Or "Are you okay?" Because you're sick. You look sick. I'm assuming the look on his face didn't seem more like, "Are you okay? You look sick." Right? So I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm not feeling well at all." I actually pulled, the communicating actually pretty well. I pulled that off pretty well. So it's like, "All right, yeah, I don't feel good." He's like, "Oh yeah, dude, just take a seat, dude. You're fine." So it was pretty much like, I think he thought it was the heat. So I'm pretty sure he thought it was the heat that was getting into my brain and not that, not that anything else. So that's what I'm pretty sure. He thought that it was so hot outside that he's like, you know what, this kid, this white boy, he's really freaking heated up right now. Let's give him a seat down, right? That's what I thought it was. So that's what I'm thinking. Anyways, that's pretty much it for Jersey C. Next class, history. History. I remember I'm walking over to history and I had this kid, Andy. I mentioned him in my last, like 2 videos ago about skipping school. At this point, I wasn't great friends with him, but I was just a little more than an acquaintance, I guess you would say. And I'm going up the stairs and he had a football. And he's getting ready to throw the football at me, and I'm just looking at him with these wide eyes, like, why is he throwing a football at me in class? Like I couldn't seem to wrap my head around the concept that someone was just trying to play with me inside of class. So I immediately I put my hand out like a halt sign, like like a police officer, like saying halt. Like I put my hand out just like that, and I'm just saying like halt, and the guy immediately, Andy, he knew what was up. He goes up to me and he goes, "Brandon, are you tripping?" And I was like, yes. So that was it. So he just goes, yeah, you're pretty fucking busted up. And, he's asking me how many tabs I took. And I'm just like, I can't even figure out. I forgot how many I took. I don't even know. Because at this point, it feels like, at this point, it feels like 5 or whatever. So, I mean, it was so confusing. I didn't know how many tabs I took at that point in time. I'm like, I got to be 4 hours in. I don't even know how many tabs I took. I have no clue. I just forgot. Numbers just seem to float right through my mind. So it's got to be, I think I want to say 4 hours in, right? So we're 4 hours in, and now it's history class. And I get into history class, I take a seat down. And the same thing's going on with the letters, but at that point, I'm a seasoned veteran when it comes to just moving letters, so I already know what to look at. I know how to deal with moving letters, okay? I know how it works. So my strategy for moving letters was just to look down. And whenever I looked down, I just saw like a jellyfish pattern of things that were just kind of moving and distorting around. And that seemed to be a lot easier for me to kind of wrap my head around than moving letters, because moving letters really scared the fuck out of me. So I just like, you know what, don't look at the board, just look at the ground. So that's what I did. Of course, it was time to hand out homework, and obviously I didn't have mine. And I was in no position to do it before class, so there was no way I was going to have to hand in that homework. So that meant, though, I had to go tell the teacher that I didn't have my homework. So this was a pretty bad situation. I don't remember how I handled the situation, but I know I must have done something. I remember it was just really, really, really awkward for the both of us. She comes around, it wasn't like I had to go walk up to her. I know that much, but I just remember this being a big problem of mine. I don't remember how exactly I handled it to the specificities. That's even a word, but I just remember that I pulled it off pretty badly. So she's walking down the aisles of the chairs, and she's collecting everyone's homework. And then we get to the group that my friends are at, and none of us have our homeworks. And she goes, "Okay, you guys don't even have your homework." And she's giving us a lecture now. So she's pretty much just giving us a lecture, and I don't want to look at her, obviously, because my eyes are as big as golf balls. And she barely says, "Brandon, look at me when I talk to you." Like, 'cause she was talking to everyone, obviously, but she was including me. And I'm just like, okay. So I end up just staring at her chest region, at her breasts, and that was that was not a good move. And she didn't say anything weird. Okay, she didn't say anything. Right, and it's not even like she had big fucking honkers. All right, she didn't have the tins in that can were not huge. All right, I'm not gonna. So I think that's probably why she didn't say anything. But if she was like a very promiscuous teacher with big fucking boobs, and that probably would have been in some trouble there. But she was an older lady. She was probably like in her late 40s. She was still pretty hot, but she was just like whatever. So I handled the situation by just kind of looking kind of in the chest. I wasn't looking directly at them. It was just, I remember I was looking somewhere in that region. I remember thinking about like 2 minutes later that was a really bad move. I shouldn't have done that. But so yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at those things. I'm just like, okay, this is fine. She's still giving us a lecture. If she keeps on talking, it means nothing's going wrong. So she keeps on talking. And that was it. So she just kept on talking. But I remember when she sat back down, she gave me a really weird, like, disgusted look. Like, unfortunately, it wasn't like a, yeah, why don't you stay after class look. No. It was like a pretty disgusted look. And I don't know, again, if it was because of that or because I didn't turn in my homework for the 40th time that year. So I wasn't, or maybe both. I wasn't really sure what that was. Anyways, so I don't really have any more classes that I was tripping off. But I remember how I handled my parents because now I had to go home. I managed calling my mom. And I called my mom and I told her, I said, I'm going to go to the youth center, which was like a basketball place. It was not too far away from my school. And I remember I had this pre-planned before I'd even tripped. I'm like, you know what? This in the event that this acid takes longer to wear off than it should, right? I'll just tell my parents I'm going to go to the youth center, kill another 2 hours there. And at that point, I should be completely or relatively normal, right? So, and I actually, it was pretty smart of me for me to actually do that. I can't believe I actually thought about that, but I did. So I brought along my youth center bag and stuff like that as if I was going to go there. It was only the event that I was going to trip longer than I needed to, right? And I wasn't tripping like, hard. Now I kind of got my head was around everything. I kind of understood how life worked. I understood that, people walk and, the letters don't move and the floor does not look like jellyfish and that you shouldn't stare at, your teacher's boobs. I understood all that stuff now. It made sense to me. But, so now I had to call my mom, though, and I'm still a little woozy and I'm getting pretty paranoid. But I end up calling her and I just say, hey, listen, I'm going to the youth center. I'll be back in a couple hours and I'm going to play some basketball. That was it. And she said, okay, yeah, no problem. I'll see you back then. So I played that off really well, and I started playing some basketball, and I remember taking off my shirt out. I'm like, all right, we have to sweat this shit out, So I'm just playing super fucking hardcore. I was actually got really good. Believe it or not, guys, I was on top of my game that day. None of my friends came with me to the youth center. I was just playing against this one other little kid. I think he was like in 8th grade. But I was playing, he was a big kid. And I was playing against him. I was playing really fucking good. I mean, I wasn't even tripping at that point anymore, but I had that like kind of hangover where your head just kind of a little fucked up sort of thing. But, that's what I was going on in my head, and I was just like, my pupils were still a little dilated. But yeah, that was pretty much it, guys. I mean, I was playing on top of my game for fucking basketball that day. But maybe acid helps you with your fucking hand-eye coordination, I guess. Maybe when you come off that fucking trip stuff, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, so then I get home, and that was pretty much it. I get home, play Xbox, and Mom comes in, and I pulled it off pretty well. I was still feeling fucked up in my head, and it was like that until, like, at least, later that night. But I remember that was the worst thing about acid, and that's the worst thing I still hate about acid, is that you get that weird little hangover in your head. It's not like it's like a headache or anything like that, but it just feels like really, like your head just feels so used, like fried. Just like in those commercials.
They said LSD would help me forget my problems. They lied. Find out the truth about LSD.
You guys enjoyed that little commercial there. But anyways, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, anything at all, leave it down in the comments below. Smash the like button if you guys enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Ready to pop, drop top, fuck cops, and I'm never gonna stop. Cop